Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Kenny and could Kenny return to The Walking Dead. Okay, so it's been a few months since Telltale's The Walking Dead ended, and one thing that was never answered was the fate of Kenny. Now here's the thing, we met Kenny all the way back in season 1 episode 1, A New Day, and he is one of the biggest characters to come from the series. He's my third favorite character in the series. My first favorite is Lee, my second favorite is Clementine, and my third favorite is Kenny. Okay, now I want to talk about could Kenny return and how they could do it. First, let's go over how he leaves the story. Now, at the end of season 2, they gave you many choices on how the ending would go. Tons of different things can happen to Kenny at the ending of the game. You can shoot him to save Jane. You can let him kill Jane and then shoot him. You could leave him, or you could stick with him and you go to Wellington and he wants you to, live in Wellington, but you decide to stay with him. Or you go inside Wellington and you and Kenny part ways. If Kenny and Clementine stayed together and left Wellington, then in season 3 Kenny would have died in a car crash, and which would have paralyzed him, and he would have let himself be eaten by walkers so Clementine and AJ could get away. So anyway, how could Kenny return? We could get some kind of mini episode, or maybe a tie-in comic, or just something. Maybe even people that worked on the game could confirm this happened, but after the events of season 2, and this only takes into consideration whether Kenny actually survives and leaves, separates with Clementine. So this will only account for if they separated after Jane was killed, or if they separated at Wellington. So we know from the ending of the comic book series that eventually the world got back to normal. Basically normal. There are still walkers in the world, but there are safe zones all over the eastern part of the United States, and it's pretty much a safe zone, with walkers being very few and far in between, with people basically forgetting what the world was like, and these times are known as the trials. So first of all, we don't know if Clementine survived the trials. We know that at the ending of the Telltale game she did survive her bite, and she decided to stay at the school with AJ, and she became the leader. We also know through certain endings of the game that they come into contact with this group in a caravan. Could this lead to them joining with the Commonwealth? Because we know the Commonwealth is basically all across the eastern part of the United States. So it would be nice if that means that Clementine did survive, she did go on to live, because it would just be nice to know that Clementine survived the trials along with AJ and whoever you kept alive in the game, like whether you kept Lewis or Violet or Tennessee alive. So it would be nice to know. Now, as for Kenny, it would be really cool if maybe at some point Kenny came across the boarding school and joined it and stayed there. Clementine stayed in charge and Kenny decided to stay with the group. Or maybe eventually Kenny did find a community, and that community was the Commonwealth, and that joined up with the boarding school that Clementine's in, and maybe they crossed paths again. So there is a chance Kenny is still out there, and there's a chance he did survive the trials. He's a very tough survivor, so it would be cool if someone at Telltale came out and said that if Kenny didn't die in season 2 or 3 and you separated with him, that he did eventually find Clementine again and he lived. It would even be cool if they made a little mini episode about this where you find the boarding school and maybe Clementine gives you back the hat if you took it in a new frontier, and maybe you have the option to let AJ hang on to it, maybe let Clementine have it, seeing how she doesn't wear her hat anymore, or you can take it back as your own. Stuff like that would be really cool to see, and I really hope Kenny does return to the series in some form or fashion, because it would be nice to know that he did survive. But anyway, that is my video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.